The Crooked Epic, 1, The Inn of Maniacal Madness, 5, Alex, The Maze, 5C, 4. Alex heard a door open right next to him. He jumped but could not see where the sound came from, and the door he had used was still closed. Quickly realizing it was on the other side of the box, Alex spun and ran toward the inner rings of flower boxes which surrounded the building. He heard a familiar voice echoing in the walls of the mystical limestone structure. "Alex, is that you?" Alex had not made it off the platform before he turned and saw Clark, his friend. "I thought it was you. Where were you? Did you see that train station covered with soldiers? I saw your brother, Al. He was being carried around a huge building by a lot of soldiers. Teddy was shot in the stomach, dead. I came to find you." Alex was walking back hesitantly, but already was feeling relief and could sense Clark could be trusted. Clark's hair and temples were wet with sweat from sneaking around the premises of this strange land beyond the world of America. "Clark, where did you come from? Train station? The door I came through." Alex was excitedly interrupted. He stopped himself from competing to speak his turn, opting instead to listen thoroughly and walk toward Clark. He wanted to look inside the door Clark had opened and emerged from, and stay close enough to move through it if Toro and Mr. Edmund came. "Yeah, I heard you were missing from Jacob after you all went fishing. I just looked on the hill because I thought it would be easy enough to find you. Hey, this door has a train station." Clark was now interrupted by Alex, who grabbed Clark's arm, pulling him through the doorway. Clark continued, though, on the other side, where they were in the train station Alex had seen in Hobb. "I've been experimenting with this weird thing. The other door just led to the back of a pet shop. But anyway, I saw you coming down the hills when I found a telescope station on the roof of a strange mortuary. I think it's the owners of this place's family, behind the dead end by the church. I've been here a while. I had to push some rocks out of the way just to make it through that cavern on your hill. I wasn't sure it was you because you had that strange uniform on and that backpack. Clark was wearing regular clothes, and this set Alex on alert immediately. It was too conspicuous. They had come out of this door somewhere else entirely, and it was mobbed with army troops, unlike the church. Alex grabbed Clark's arm and pulled him to a nearby wall lined with crates and cages. Clark was surprised, noticing Alex's trembling fear. "Clark, they're going to see us. I forgot I had on these clothes, but these soldiers will kill us. They'll kill anybody from America they find, and they've been chasing me for days. We have to get out of here. But now the church is being set up as a patrol station. The box with the doors somehow connects to different places in this town, which is called Hobb. From what I've seen, we aren't really underground. Somehow, we're somewhere else. They make replicas of people, too. They made a copy of Ted." Train whistles were blowing in the station, and a freighter came down the tracks. The floor around the two boys was shaking and rumbling. The soldiers were scrummed into lines, grouping into their assigned positions along the stage for unloading whatever was being transported. Clark was trying to talk more, but Alex could barely understand anything he said. He looked up at the door they had entered through and realized the likely chances of Toro and Edmund following them were high. Also, as he looked around, he wondered if they would be spotted during the loading of the train. All around them were crates and boxes, cages, and containers of different sizes. Most of them were on their side seemed to have plants, fertilizer soils, and boxes with foodstuffs which were labeled. On the other side of the station, past booths where soldiers showed identification to porters and baggage sat on benches while loaders and dispatchers were waiting for the trains, there were more crates and cages, some containing visible animals and livestock. Several men in plain clothes and some in denim overall suspenders were walking as a group through the mob, passing by the tramping two children when Alex saw someone on the middle of the crowd who looked precisely like Clark but wearing different clothes. The other Clark was looking around. He noticed the plainclothes group as they were almost past Alex, and he caught Alex's eyes. Alex tried to duck behind the crates further, squishing against the wall, but his friend was too late, and his jaw dropped, and he began turning pale when he saw his mirror image standing in the station. Oh my gosh. The other Clark was waving and shouting, pointing at their hiding spot. They had been discovered. Alex was cornered and Clark was doomed. The door they had come through reopened and Toro walked through angrily. Toro was traveling alone, but immediately saw the fake Clark, and his eyes traced his index finger over to the crates where the two cohorts and cahoots were trapped. Barry stepped out from the mob, untouched in total health, and took a long machete out of a sheath hanging off his belt. Clark raised his arms meekly, attempting to cover his head from the swinging blade. In Clark's hand was one of the pieces of the amulet left in the cave. Clark disappeared as the blade approached his throat. Alex slipped into the chaos. Alex waited near the portal door for Barry and everyone else around the train station to realize they were amid killers. When their attention was entirely on Barry and Toro, he pushed through the door back into the maze garden. Alex looked around the garden quickly and went to the other side to see the door was still open, which led to the church. He hesitated, knowing soldiers would be coming, so he opened one of the remaining two doors, praying it to be the correct, safer choice. Stepping through the next door, the fearful feeling returned, shortness of breath and nausea and buzzing noise. The room was dark. He put his hands out in front of him, slowly straightened them out, stretched them around his sides, and dropped to the floor, feeling the surface below. Al's eyes barely adjusted to the room when the light was turned on. Ahmed stood with a lit lantern by a door which led through a large storeroom, filled with caged animals, noisy and smelly. Stepping behind him, another man came into view in the doorframe. "See, Motu? I told you these animals were acting unruly for a reason. They smell Alex, our boy." Ahmed smiled and started to laugh as Motu firmly grabbed Alex's shoulder. Motu was a fatter, darker-skinned man, shorter with straight black hair and a combed mustache which was smaller than Toro's. He was wearing bifocals and looked Asian and snickered with groomed lips. He wrinkled his nose as he inspected Alex's face. Motu was a docile and tame version of a scientist for diabolical use with the weaponry of Hob. He was ugly and had many blemishes on his cheeks, with moles around his eyes and a frown which conveyed his displeasure at being interrupted during whatever foul and inhumane experiments he had decided to conduct in his zoological studies within the odd building. Ahmed leaned in over Motu's shoulder. "Another riddle for you, Alex. If you were given an anonymous gift of a button that would kill anyone else in the world, in return for all the monies owned by another person entirely, both at random, would you press it?"